is quiet again. Too quiet. I thought time would change everything, but somehow I'm still looking for you. I don't check your profile anymore, at least that's what I tell myself. But every familiar street still carries your shadow. Every little thing I never noticed now reminds me of us. Funny how memories choose their own timing when you least expect them. I stopped waiting for your name to light up my phone, but some nights my heart forgets what my mind already knows. I'm still looking for you in places you don't belong anymore. In every passing face, every midnight drive, every song that sounds like goodbye. I'm still looking for you, even though I know you're already someone I'll never find again. I smile more these days. People think I'm doing fine. Maybe I am most of the time, until the smallest memory pulls me back to a version of myself that still believed we had forever. You never asked me to wait, you never promised you'd return. Maybe that's why this silence hurts more than words. I'm still looking for you in places you don't belong anymore. In every passing face, every midnight drive, every song that sounds like goodbye. I'm still looking for you, even though I know you're already someone I'll never find again. If we met tonight, I don't think I'd ask you to stay. I'd probably just smile and thank you for every beautiful memory that still hurts. Maybe healing isn't forgetting, maybe it's learning to miss someone without falling apart. Some people leave but never really disappear. They become the quiet part of who we are. I'm still looking for you, not because you'll come back, but because some part of me still remembers how it felt to call you home. I'm still looking for you, even if this is the last time I ever say your name. Tomorrow will come, I'll keep moving, but tonight, for just a little while, I'll let myself miss you. I told myself I wouldn't read it again, but here I am, scrolling like maybe the ending changed. The conversation stopped so quietly, no goodbye, no explanation, just shorter replies, until there was nothing left to answer. I remember reading your last message again and again, looking for something that wasn't there. Maybe you had already left long before you actually did. I just didn't know how to see it. The last message stayed even after you were gone. I deleted deleted your number, but not the feeling you left behind. The last message stayed frozen in my phone, like one small piece of a story that never got another page. I've changed the wallpaper, bought new clothes, met new people, learned how to laugh again. But somehow a no notification still feels heavier than everything I've tried to move on with. Maybe closure doesn't always arrive. Sometimes silence is the only answer we ever get. The last message stayed even after you were gone. I deleted your number, but not the feeling you left behind. The last message stayed frozen in my phone, like one small piece of a story that never got another page. If I open that chat tonight, I'd probably smile more than cry. Not because it doesn't hurt anymore, but because for a little while someone loved me enough to call me theirs. And maybe that's worth remembering, even if we weren't forever. Some conversations never really end, they just become the voice inside your memory. The last message stayed even after all this time. The words don't hurt like they used to, but they still remind me of who I was. The last message stayed, not to keep me stuck, but to remind me that love was real, even if it didn't last. One day I'll stop opening that chat, but tonight I'll let it be just one last time. I made it home, but somehow it doesn't feel like home anymore. The lights still turn on, the keys still fit. Everything is exactly where I left it. Nothing really changed, except the silence sounds louder now. Even the couch still remembers the space you used to fill. Funny how a place can stay the same while everything inside you quietly disappears. Nothing feels like home since you became a memory. Every room echoes your name. Nothing feels like home, no matter where I go. Maybe home was never this place. Maybe it was you. I still cook too much out of old habits, still leave one side of the bed untouched. Without thinking I reach for stories I can't tell you anymore. The little things are always the hardest to let go of. Time keeps moving like it's supposed to. Why does my heart still live in yesterday? Nothing feels like home since you became house. Some people leave a feeling you left both. Nothing feels like home, but I know it won't stay this way forever. One day these walls will hold new memories. Nothing feels like home, not tonight, but maybe tomorrow will feel a little less empty. Until then, I'll keep finding pieces of myself in the silence. I don't say your name anymore, but somehow you never left my mind. I don't wonder where you are these days, or who you're with, or if you're happy. Those questions finally faded with time, but every now and then something small finds you again. A song that's sent a passing stranger with your smile. Maybe moving on was never about forgetting. Maybe it's learning to remember without breaking. You never left my mind. You just stopped living in every thought. Now you visit like an old photograph, hidden in a drawer. You never left my mind. You became a quiet part of me, not the pain, just the proof that you were real. I used to hate how often I thought of you. Now I don't fight it anymore. Some memories aren't trying to pull you backward. They're simply there to remind you who helped shape the person you've become. I don't miss what we lost as much as the version of me who believed we had forever. You never left my mind. You just stopped living in every thought. Now you visit like an old photograph, hidden in a drawer. You never left my mind. You became a quiet part of me, not the pain, just the proof that you were real. If I saw you walking toward me tonight, I wouldn't ask why you left or what went wrong. I'd simply hope life has been kind to the person who once made mine feel complete, because loving you was never the mistake. Holding on forever was. Some people stay in your life, others stay in your heart long after they're gone. You never left my mind, but you no longer control my nights. The tears are gone, the love remains in a different form. You never left my mind, and maybe you never had to. Some stories aren't meant to disappear, only to become part of who we are. Goodbye doesn't always mean distance. City's asleep, but my thoughts still learn. Another night without you. The clock says it's getting late, but sleep never asks about me. Not on nights like this. The room is quiet, yet somehow your laughter still echoes between these walls, like it never left. I used to think missing someone would get easier with enough time, but maybe some feelings just learn how to whisper instead of scream. Sky without your light, I keep telling myself I'll be okay by morning, but every midnight finds me right back here, learning how to miss you all over again. I drove past our favorite street without meaning to. My hands remembered the way before my heart could stop them. Some habits outlive the people who gave them meaning. Maybe I'm not waiting for you anymore. Maybe I'm waiting for the day your name feels ordinary again. Another night without you, another sky without your light. I keep telling myself I'll be by morning, but every midnight finds me right back here, learning how to miss you all over again. One day I'll tell this story without my voice getting quieter. One day these memories will feel warm instead of heavy. Until then I'll keep choosing tomorrow, even on nights that still belong to you. Healing isn't loud, sometimes it's simply surviving one more night. Another night, but one step closer to letting go. I'll always carry what we were without letting it carry me. Every night without you, and somehow the sunrise feels a little closer than it did yesterday. Good night, wherever you are. I hope you're sleeping better than I am. Someone said your name like it was just another word. They had no idea what it did to me. It happened so fast, a stranger talking to someone else. Same name, different person, but for a second the whole room disappeared. And suddenly I wasn't here anymore. I was back where we used to be. Funny how a single word can carry an entire lifetime of memories. Your name still hurts, not the way it used to, but enough to stop my heart for just a moment. Your name still hurts, like an old scar that only aches when the weather changes. I don't avoid the places we used to go. I don't have remote photos or songs anymore. I made peace with almost everything except the sound of your name. It still knows exactly where to find me. Maybe healing isn't never feeling pain. Maybe it's learning to keep walking even when it hurts. Your name still hurts, not the way it used to, but enough to stop my heart for just a moment. Your name still hurts, like an old scar that only aches when the weather changes. One day someone else will probably say your name, and I'll simply smile, not because I stopped loving you, but because the love finally learned how to rest. Until then, I'll carry it quietly without asking for anything back. Some names become memories, some names become home. Yours somehow became bold. Your name still hurts, but not enough to keep me from living. It's only a gentle reminder of a chapter I'll never erase. Your name still hurts, and maybe it always will. Not because I couldn't move on, but because you matter that much. I heard your name tonight, and for the first time I didn't look back, I just kept walking. I really believed we were gonna make it. Maybe that's why it hurts so much when we didn't. We talk like people who had already decided. We grow old together, picking cities we wanted to visit, names for children we never had, dreaming like time could never touch us. No one tells you the hardest heartbreak isn't losing what you had, is losing everything you thought was coming next. We were almost forever, just one tomorrow away from becoming everything we promised we'd be. We were almost forever, close enough to believe love could never end. Now, those conversations feel like letters written to strangers. I barely recognize the future we imagine still exists somewhere just without us in it. I don't regret dreaming that big. I'd rather remember how deeply we loved than pretend it never mattered. We were almost forever, just one tomorrow away from becoming everything we promised we'd be. We were almost forever, close enough to believe love could never end. Oh, simply reached the end of the story we were given. And even now, I'd still choose every moment, knowing how it ends. Some people become your future, others become the memory you measure. Every future again. We were almost forever, but somehow I see enough to make a lifetime worth remembering. Ooh, we were almost forever, not forever, but long enough to teach me what love really feels like. Maybe almost still counts when it changes. Everything. I forgot the color of your sweater, the perfume you used to wear, but somehow I still know your voice. I couldn't tell you what day we first met or what song was playing when we fell in love. Time erased the little details one by one, but every time I imagine you, you still sound exactly the same. Strange how memories choose what they keep and what they leave behind. I still know your voice like it never left, like every late night call is still waiting somewhere. I still know your voice, even when your face gets a little blurrier every year. I wonder if mine sounds different now. Would you recognize it if I said hello? Or will we both pretend we're strangers who happen to share the same past? Maybe the heart remembers things the mind can never explain. I still know your voice like it never left, like every late night call is still waiting somewhere. I still know your voice, even when your face gets a little blurrier every year. Oh, one day someone asked me what I miss the most. They expected a place, a photo, a moment, but the truth was it wasn't any of those. It was hearing you say my name like no one else ever could. Some voices become echoes, some echoes become home. I still know your voice, not because I'm holding on, but because some love leaves behind a sound that time can't erase. I still know your voice, and maybe that's feel quiet. I told myself today's gonna be different, but somehow everything reminds me of you. The coffee shop on the corner still plays the songs we used to argue about. A stranger laughs the same way you did. For a second I almost turn around like you're still there, waiting for me. I keep telling myself it's coincidence, but my heart has always been better at remembering than forgetting. Everything reminds me of the life we almost had. Every little moment finds a way to say your name. Everything reminds me, not because you're everywhere, but because you were part of everything. I bought a new jacket, changed my routine, even took a different road home. Still somehow you find me in the quiet spaces between one thought and the next. Maybe it's not the places or the songs I miss. Maybe it's the person I became when I was with you. Everything reminds me of the life we almost had. Every little moment finds a way to say your name. Everything reminds me, not because you're everywhere, but because you were part of everything. Then one night I realized the memories were changing. They didn't make me cry anymore, they simply stopped me for a moment, long enough to smile at a version of my life that once felt complete. Maybe moving on isn't waking up without memories. Maybe it's learning to carry them without getting lost. And everything reminds me, but not the way it used to. Now the memories feel softer, like distant lights through a rainy window. Everything reminds me, and maybe that's okay. Some people never really leave, they just become part of the soundtrack of your life. Tomorrow will remind me too, but maybe it'll hurt a little less. The seasons changed, the city changed, even I changed, but somehow nothing changed after you. The cafe we loved has someone else's name now. The apartment across the street finally turned its lights back on. Life kept happening without asking if I was ready. Everyone said time would fix it, maybe it did. just not the way they promised. People think healing looks like forgetting, but sometimes it looks like learning to smile while carrying the same memory. Nothing changed after you, at least not the part that still remembers how your hand fit into mine. Nothing changed after you, the world kept spinning, but somewhere inside I'm still standing where we said goodbye. I don't count how many months it's been anymore. The calendar moved on long before I did. I laugh louder now, sleep better sometimes. I've built a different life, but every now and then it still feels like I'm borrowing someone else's future. Maybe some people don't leave empty spaces, they become part of the foundation you build the rest of your life. After you, at least not the part that still remembers how your hand fit into mine. Nothing changed after you, the world kept spinning, but somewhere inside I'm still standing where we said goodbye. Where we said goodbye. Without thinking of you for almost an entire day, and instead of feeling guilty I smile, because maybe this is what healing actually looks like. Not forgetting, not replacing, just making room for tomorrow without losing yesterday. Love doesn't always leave your heart. Sometimes it simply changes its address. Nothing changed after you, and everything changed at the same time. I'm not who I was before we met, and maybe I was never meant to be. Nothing changed after you, because love like ours doesn't disappear. It quietly becomes a part of who you are forever. Phone stayed quiet for so long, it almost became part of the silence. Still, I kept waiting. Every morning I reach for my phone before I even open the curtains, not because I expected a message, but because a small part of me still hoped today would be different. Hope doesn't disappear all at once. Sometimes it fades, one quiet night at a time. I kept waiting anyway, even after I knew you weren't coming back. I kept saving a place for you inside tomorrow, even when tomorrow stopped asking for your name. Friends told me to move on like it was a destination you could reach by deciding one morning to stop missing someone. If only it worked that way. The hardest part wasn't losing you, it was learning to let go of the future I had already imagined. I one evening without realizing how many plans for next month. And for the first time your absence wasn't part of the picture. That's when I knew healing had quietly arrived, not with fireworks, not with closure, just with a life that slowly began again. Waiting was never weakness, it was love trying to find one last reason to stay. Doesn't scare me anymore. If you ever think of me again, I hope you remember someone who loved you until the very end. Sometimes I wonder if we met again, would we recognize who we've become? Would you still tilt your head when you laugh? Would I still finish your sentences without thinking? Or will we smile like strangers trying to remember where we've met before, pretending the years didn't change us? Time has a quiet way of turning the people we loved into stories we tell ourselves. If we met again, I wouldn't ask why you left the way you've been. I'd only hope life was gentle to your heart. If we met again, I'd thank you for the love that taught me how deeply a person can change another. There was a time I rehearsed everything I'd say to you. Every apology, every question, every unfinished goodbye. Now I probably just ask if you've been sleeping well, and if you're finally happy. Maybe closure isn't a conversation. Maybe it's realizing you no longer need one. If we met again, I wouldn't ask why you left the way you've been. I'd only hope life was gentle to your heart. If we met again, I'd thank you for the love that taught me how deeply a person can change another. the way they used to. I hope neither of us feels guilty for smiling, because some love doesn't fail, it simply runs out of time. And that doesn't make it any less real. Some people return only in dreams. Maybe that's enough. Sometime if we met again, I'd leave without looking back. Not because I stopped loving you, but because love finally learned how to become gratitude. If we met again, I hope we both walk away knowing we were once someone's safest places. Until that day, if it ever comes, take care of the life we once imagined together. I used to think silence was peaceful, then you left, and silence started sounding like you. The television stays on just to fill the room. I don't even watch it anymore. It's only there to keep me from hearing everything you took when you walked away. No one tells you how loud an empty room can become when love moves out. The silence you left still knows my name. It follows me through every night, like it remembers what we used to be. The silence you left says everything we never did, and somehow it hurts more than goodbye. I don't cry the way I used to. Now I just pause in the middle of ordinary moments, wondering how someone can disappear and still be everywhere. Maybe missing someone isn't about wanting them back. Maybe it's learning to live beside the echo they left behind. The silence you left still knows my name. It follows me through every night, like it remembers what we used to be. The silence you left says everything we never did, and somehow it hurts more than goodbye. Last night I turned off every light and sat in the dark. Not because I was lonely, but because for a moment it felt like you were there. The quiet didn't scare me. It reminded me that love doesn't always end with voices. Sometimes it ends with silence. everything you forgot, the part of you that still lives inside my memories. Oh, silence you left no longer breaks me, but it still knows how to find me on nights like this. The silence you left will always exist, but one day it won't sound like losing you. It'll sound like loving you once. The room is finally quiet, and somehow, for the first time, so am I. Maybe we were wrong. Maybe it was just the wrong time. We loved the best we knew how, with tight hearts and hopeful hands, trying to build forever out of moments neither of us really knew how to hold. Some stories don't end because love disappears, they end because life moves differently than our hearts. Maybe in another life we make it to the mornings we dreamed about. Maybe in another life we don't let go at the first sign of fear. Maybe in another life you still reach for my hand, and this time I never let go. I stopped blaming us a long time ago. Some people meet each other to stay forever, others meet to change each other forever. Maybe that was always who we were. If love alone could save us, we would have never had to say goodbye. Maybe in another life we make it to the mornings we dreamed about. Maybe in another life we don't let go at the first sign of fear. Maybe in another life you still reach for my hand, and this time I never let go. Hey, I used to wish I could start over, meet you again, say the right things, become a better version of myself sooner. But now I understand, if I change even one moment, I might lose every memory that made you. So instead I keep this version of our story exactly as it happened, even the ending, because loving you was worth the goodbye. Maybe there isn't another life. Maybe this one was enough to teach us what love feels like. Another life, goodnight of the nights we cried. Maybe in another life we'll finally grow old side by doesn't erase the love, it only tells us where the story ended. The night's almost over, so is this story. Before the morning comes, there's one last thing I need to say. You were never my forever, but you were everything I believed in for a little while, long enough to change the way I looked at love, long enough to become a chapter I'll never forget. Some people arrive to stay forever, others arrive to teach your heart how deeply it can feel. Good night, my almost alive. We never lived, we'll always have a place inside my heart. Good night, my almost, I hope the stars guide you somewhere beautiful, even if it's not with me. I used to wonder what I could have done to change the ending. Now I only wonder if you're smiling more than you were back then. Because if you are, then maybe losing you wasn't the saddest ending after all. Love doesn't become a failure just because it couldn't last. Sometimes its purpose was simply to change us. Good night, my almost the dreams we left behind still shine like quiet lights across the years. Oh, good night, my almost, I'll carry the best of who we were without carrying the pain forever. If tonight is the last night you ever cross my mind, I hope you leave without guilt, because you gave me something no one else ever could. You taught me that love isn't measured by how long it lasts, but by how deeply it changes the person who lived it. Tomorrow I'll wake up to a different life, not because I've forgotten you, but because you finally become a memory, gentle enough to hold without breaking. Some stories don't need another chapter, they only need a beautiful ending. Good night, I almost thank you for every sunrise, every late night call, every quiet promise, every moment that made well, wherever you are. And if our paths never cross again, know this: you were loved more than you'll probably ever know. Good night.